the Jesus way.
Oh, the Jesus way
Is the way of peace.
is the way of peace.
Oh, the Jesus way.
Oh, the Jesus way
Is the way of peace.
is the way of peace.
Oh, the Jesus way is the way of peace. When he is king, all wars will cease. May his peace begin with me. Gonna beat my sword
Gonna beat my sword
into a plow.
into a plow.
Gonna beat my sword
Gonna beat my sword
into a plow.
into a plow.
Gonna beat my sword into a plow. Christ is king in my life now. May his peace begin with me.
Brethren Voices is beginning its 17th year of sharing the stories about this amazing world and its wonders. The need to protect this wonderful earth for future generations continues to be a need for all of us. Our first program included a story of the Native Gwich'in and the spiritual connection they have with the Porcupine Caribou herd that migrates 1,700 miles past their homes to the coastal plains of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. They have something in common with the humpback whales. They both make long journeys. Our dear friend Charlie Swaney, who lives with his family in Arctic Village, Alaska, shared his insight about the caribou.
Once every year, one specific time every single year, the caribou have to take a journey. They take a journey up into the coastal plains. Every single year that happens. Now why is that? You ask yourself, why is that? Every single year they go up there at that certain time of year. That's because they're at peace of mind there. There's no disturbance whatsoever. And that's their birthing grounds. That place there is where a caribou takes its first breath of fresh air, its first step on earth, its first bite to eat. The vegetation there is different than other places. And the caribou know that vegetation helps the calves get stronger faster.
The Native Gwich'in have shown us how to keep our footprints small and only use what is needed. As humans, we often find ourselves hurrying from one place to another, totally unaware of the movements of the natural world. For the Earth's animal life, they are often in perpetual motion, not staying long in any one place. We wanted to share another incredible story that happens every year. For one population of humpbacks, it's a 6,000-mile journey, beginning in the cold Alaskan waters and ending in the shallow waters of the Hawaiian Islands. Like the caribou, the humpbacks make this journey to give birth to their calves and create for the next year's journey. Much of this action happens in the warm and shallow waters between the islands of Maui, Lanai, and Molokai. We toured with the Ultimate Whale Watch out of Lahaina Harbor in Maui to get a close-up look of these peaceful giants. Captain Amy Venema piloted our high-speed ocean-going raft. It's low to the water and perfect for close whale watching. The blue Pacific waters are truly magnificent. The tours of Ultimate Whale Watch provide a naturalist who shares a narrative of the adventure. Hannah Pittore shares about the humpbacks and their 6,000-mile journey.
Oh, tiny baby whale right in front of us. So as we get started, you didn't say much, right, yet?
Just that
That they're coming right here?
that they're coming over to say hello.
So, just so you guys know, no worries about them flipping the boat over. They're really spatially aware, but if they want to swim up to the boat, they can. We have approach limits to them, but they don't have approach limits to us.
She's very aware of our presence.
In the distance, a huge breach.
Are there two right there?
So this is a mom and a calf. This is a mom and a 2021 model humpback whale. Yep, they stay within a body length for almost the whole first year of the calf's life, where then that calf after that year is out on its own. When they get back to their summer feeding ground, they will get a little bit further apart, but while they're here, they're pretty close together.
Nice and calm too. Becky's a good mama. Just really relaxed. And the little nugget.
Might see a tail.
Here it is. Beautiful.
The side of Lanai, backside Molokai is over 15,000 feet deep. So 300 feet in here for a 50-foot long whale or so is pretty shallow. So they're not diving down to the bottom. They're just diving, 50, 60, 70 feet down and hanging out down there.
And the calf is little, new, so it's got small lungs. It'll come to the surface far more frequently than the mom will. So finding a mom and calf right off the bat is actually a great thing because we know the calf's going to be up pretty frequently. So we only have like a 3-minute wait, maybe a 5-minute at most. The adults, they could hold their breath as long as almost an hour. We wouldn't wait that long, that'd be ridiculous. And this mama wouldn't do that because she's got the calf going up and down, and maybe every third or fourth breath she'll come up.
She kind of like on that last one too, felt like she let the calf get a little bit bold and then kind of wrangled it in, brought it kind of close, but they know we're here, they can hear us and see us, but our presence doesn't seem to really impact them negatively. And if we notice any big changes in behavior, we're definitely trying to stay in tune with that. We don't want to stress them out, but I kind of relate it to if you grew up near a train station, you kind of hear the trains going by and it doesn't really affect you anymore, where all these whales, the big population boom we have, a lot of them grew up in the whale watching industry essentially, so all of them seem to be pretty used to having boats around.
Potentially, we think that their lifespan is somewhere between 80 and 100 and every 2 to 3 years. So that's like sexual immaturity, let's just say 10 because that's an easy number. It's somewhere between 7, 8, around there. 30, 35 calves a year, or in their lifetime, because there's no menopause.
Yeah, so she could have, wow, she could be an 80-year-old mom.
Yeah, or more, yeah. It's crazy to think about, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
It's believed that there are about 40,000 humpback whales currently in the world. At one time, they were hunted to near extinction, but fortunately they have made a comeback as the killing of whales is illegal in most countries.
Here, I would not hesitate to look down occasionally. You just never know. You see a whale sitting down there, you might want to tell somebody because it's pretty exciting, not because we're scared.
How deep is the water?
Probably around 150 to 200 feet right here. It was just one whale from what I could see that popped up. You can see that big calm slick patch there at 1 o'clock. That's where the whale kicked its tail right below the surface. We call that the footprint. There's a tail maybe, maybe. Ooh, nice. So with their tail up in the air, that means their head's pointed down. They're going down on a dive. We call that a fluke up dive. Were you guys able to see when that tail came up, the pattern on the underside of the tail? That's unique for humpback whales, and it's similar to our fingerprint. So just like a human's fingerprint, you can tell individual humpback whales apart by getting a quick picture of that tail and then cataloging them and hopefully answer questions that we still don't know the answer to yet, like how old they could live to be or how many calves they might have in their lifetime. If you're able to recite the same animals, there's just a lot more you can learn. And there's this cool website called happywhale.com, where it's a citizen science project where people are able to submit their whale tail photos that they take like on a whale watching trip like this. If you have like a nice big camera, take a picture of that tail, and they use facial recognition software, so similar like when you log into your iPhone, and they're able to match the tails that way, which is amazing. When I first started in the whale world, you just had to flip through binders of these tails and hopefully get a match just with eyesight. But you know, technology is coming into play and really helping out, and there's more pictures in that catalog or on the website, the smarter the program gets, and there's constantly new tails added, so you can like put all the information of today. You know, I saw this whale, it was doing this, maybe it had a calf with it, maybe it didn't, maybe it was a male, maybe it was a female, and maybe somebody else has seen that and it'll help clarify what they saw.
Breaching is the term for whales when they jump out of the water. They also enjoy poking their heads out of the water and slapping their tail. The reason for these activities aren't known, but it's suspected that these are ways humpback whales play and interact or communicate with each other.
So they're living off of their blubber, they're fasting. So just like a bear would go into hibernation and plan accordingly, these whales, they do a lot of eating during the summer, pack on the pounds, pack on the weight, and instead of like a bear going into a cave, they swim 6,000 miles. They go to an area where there's really no food for them here. Our waters are like an ocean desert in regards to nutrients. And then they're exerting lots of energy in their mating or if they're birthing, and then they'll swim back. So because they don't eat while they're here, they're maxing out at only about 6 weeks of time that they can spend here before they have to go back to their food source. So our season is 6 months long, December to May, where no one whale is here that entire time. The whales that were here in the beginning of our season in December, they're already back up in Alaska by now, back to their food source. So they're really solitary animals. They're all on their own schedule. Kind of picture these waters like a revolving door, whales moving in and out all the time, all dependent on their own schedule on what they're here to do, if that makes sense. So when we see surface active behavior like this, repetitive behavior with that, it's great to see that from the calves. They're the ones that have energy to spend. They're the ones that are preparing for a really long journey. That dive right there made me kind of think that there was an additional male here. So we may have mom and calf and then a male whale and then an additional male, so 4 whales. The males that hang out with mom and calf are not the father of the calf. They're hanging out trying to be the father of next year's calf. They're here just to, again, offer that donation before moving on to another recipient. And with some of the whales being off the market in the sense of being pregnant or having a calf with them, the males do outnumber the females that are available, and that's when some competition or some fighting may occur. So we kind of saw a big arching back from that whale. So that's kind of where I was going with that observation, is maybe there's a little competition starting up between 2 males. Whale drama, which we love to see. We're here for the whale drama. Whoa!
Oh my goodness. Good job, baby.
When it comes to the length of the humpbacks, the females are actually longer than the males. Females can measure around 50 feet in length, Sometimes males are as much as 10 feet shorter than their counterparts. And humpback whales can weigh as much as 40 tons. So to put that in our perspective, the average car weighs about 2 tons.
So this is really, really important behavior for the calf to learn how to jump like that. It's muscle development, coordination, all those things that you would think eventually, it probably just feels really good, it's pretty fun, but eventually it's going to be even more important. It's going to be predator avoidance as they get up into those Alaskan waters where they have to worry about orcas, which is their #1 predator. This is a good way to kind of deter those orcas from getting too close, is jumping, breaching. These guys are pretty powerful animals. Definitely 3. 2, a mom, a calf, and there's an escort.
How do they fight back against the orcas?
They could breach like that, try to get them to get away. They use their powerful tails to kick at the orca. They may charge at it. These guys are a lot bigger, 45 feet. Orcas are 22, 25 feet. So sheer size is going to protect them. The calf is the one that's at risk. And that's why they come here, is so the calf can get bigger, get stronger, practice all these things before they have to deal with orcas. Show us how it's done. You, and you, and you.
So I haven't seen the second male. I'm still just seeing mom and calf and escort. But maybe there's another one swimming around down there that we don't know about.
These animals have not one, but actually 2 blowholes. There's one for each of their lungs, and their lungs are about the size of a small car. They have a unique way of breathing. Unlike humans, a humpback whale actually has to think about breathing, unlike humans who breathe involuntarily. To go to sleep, they merely shut off half of their brain at a time.
Adults.
Nice unison surfacing.
They could. The mom and calf would. The escort, he's just like a sneaky little bugger, hoping that she'll forget she just gave birth to a car and want to mate. So she's got like a 5 to 8% chance that she'll have the fitness to actually support fetal development, lactation, while fasting. So he's not banking on good odds.
Maybe a tail?
But you swam 3,000 miles, you only get to bait once a year, you're chock full of testosterone, you're probably making bad decisions.
So I'm hoping that the adults dove down, and sometimes it feels like when the adults are on a dive, the calf may need to entertain itself a little bit more. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but kind of feels like when mom's at the surface, we're swimming with mom, we're with mom, you know, that's the goal. But when mom isn't there, maybe we'll get a little more breaching, maybe, you know, the calf has to surface a little bit more frequently they can't hold their breath as long as the adults do quite yet, so they'll come up to the surface. I'm hoping that the breaching kind of picks up again.
The humpback whales are intelligent and quite vocal. Each population of humpbacks communicates through their own dialect and sings its own whale song. These songs are passed from adult whales and learned by the babies. Oddly enough, only the male whales do the singing.
Yep, everything you're hearing are the whales, other than water sounds.
These songs are actually loud and long, repeated over and over. They can be heard up to 20 miles away. So if you're strolling on the beach, you might be able to hear a whale song.
What's really cool about it, in my opinion, is you can hear it when you're at the beach. If you're swimming or snorkeling, you can dive underwater and let the air trickle out of your ears a little bit, and you actually can hear them singing when you're just snorkeling about.
And sometimes the males will fight with each other to gain that position closest to her. The one that's closest to her will hopefully be the one that she chooses. So we have these competition groups, and gosh, I've seen 25 males pursuing a single female. So it can get fast and furious. But you just don't know. This time of year, things have really kind of settled out about the last fall. So it can get really furious pretty quickly because your options are limited down to, I only got so much fat left, and if I want to mate, now's the time. Otherwise, I got to wait till next year. It seems like a waste of a trip.
Whales migrate down to Baja.
The British Columbia whales tend to be Baja whales. These are the Southeast Alaska and Central Alaska whales come to Hawaii. Aleutian Islands and Russia tend to go more towards Japan. There's a little bit of crossover. You know, you might have whales from Russia coming to Hawaii, but for the most part, your paths are pretty specific. This is it. Yep. This is the location, destination. Well, you guys, I was hoping the calf would give us a little bit more jumping, but that was pretty cool what we saw.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a few breaches.
Yeah. Let's see if this one brings her tail up. No, everybody's down. Well, let's carry on. Let's see what else we can find. How's everybody doing? Does anybody need some water? It's really hot.
I would love a water.
Yeah?
Oh, and an escort. Mom calf and escort.
Hey, Nugget, what are you doing?
I think you guys kind of got the gist of this already, but for the most part, humpback whales are solitary animals, so they're migrating here on their own. For the most of their lifetime, they're on their own. They're really social animals on the other side of being solitary, if that kind of makes sense, that, you know, they're constantly associating and disassociating with one another, forming short little social groupings, so kind of like we're seeing mom and calf, longest and strongest bond between two whales, and that's just 1 year that these humpbacks spend together. And the escort, he'll, you know, do his thing for a little while and then move along, and then up in the feeding ground, they associate too, and they do these collaborative feeding events. Up in Alaska, where they do bubble net feeding, they use the air within their lungs to create this big net of bubbles. They blow a spiral of bubbles essentially, and it corrals the fish into this nice tight knit ball where they can take a big gulp, a big mouthful of all their prey in one bite, and they do it in big groups. This is an awesome little baby just rolling around, sunning its belly in the sunlight here. Those little flippers would look like long extended fingers. So, yep, the mom's right next to her.
The calf cannot survive without the mom. Mom's the milk.
Whale pregnancy is a long-term commitment lasting about a year. Adult female whales give birth about once every 2 or 3 years. To survive, the baby whale needs about 100 pounds of milk each and every day.
Last year we had captured on film, actually from this boat and 2 other boats, a female was in a competitive pod, multiple males pursuing her, pretty aggressive. She came over to the boat and came so close to the boat that a couple of the crew on each boat were able to put their phones in with a life-proof case on it or a GoPro in. and they captured that the female had the tail of the baby coming out. So she was in the process of giving birth. Called the researchers, pardon me?
Babies come out tail first.
They do. Yep. Unlike humans, right. And they called researchers, they stayed with her for as long as they could, and then the researchers followed up to the point where they went into really, really rough water and they couldn't follow anymore, it was getting dark. But they did get a picture of the underside of the tail. Remember Hannah was talking about that citizen science, happywhale.com. They put that tail submitted it to Happy Whale. 2 weeks later, we actually saw that same female with the calf. So she did give a full successful birth. And then we got the information back from Happy Whale saying the last time that that tail was submitted was 10 years prior in Russia.
Just doing cool whale things. Watch for its mouth when it comes up. That little white thing is the tip of its baleen. We never get to see that.
Do it again, baby.
Okay, white flippers. I saw a little flash of turquoise. Right there! Look at it!
He's like a little Pac-Man. Upside down, belly to the sky, both its pectoral flippers.
That is my all-time favorite whale behavior. If I were a whale, I would do that all day long, double flipper slap.
Well, that concludes this edition of Brethren Voices, a look at the creation that needs all the help we can give it. Basically, it needs to be protected from us humans. This is Ed Groff, wishing you peace.
All those who tread
All those who tread
the path he trod,
the path he trod.
all those who tread
All those who tread
the path he trod,
the path he trod.
all those who tread the path he trod shall be called the friends of God. May his peace begin with me. Oh, the Jesus way
Oh, the Jesus way
is the way of peace.
is the way of peace.
Oh, the Jesus way
Oh, the Jesus way
is the way of peace.
is the way of peace.
Oh, the Jesus way is the way of peace. When he is king, all wars will cease. May his peace begin